find out about it?
I don't know. That I don't know.
How wouldn't he have found out? That's great, Hawk.
Where are you?
Road trip out to Philadelphia.
Somebody told.
Yeah. Rip Shmuel's on.
I know somebody told. I forgot who it was, but I know.
Nice glasses.
Shmuel, you know Shmuel from the.
I heard the story I've heard the story before.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember who. Whatever. I don't remember. I just know somebody told.
All right, we ready to go? I'm upstairs. I couldn't find any place to learn because there's drums one place and one day, whatever. So,
I didn't recognize the paint along the top over there.
Yeah,
the wall.
In my kid's room, so the internet is not so great.
I got piano in my background, so that's why.
There you go. Okay, so basically, so let's just it's a little late, so we'll skip the Chazar. Tonight we do a lot of Hilchos Chalamayit together with if I cut out, somebody text me that it cuts out, please.
Where are we up to?
What?
Where are we up to?
Shabbos if you cut out.
Yeah. Mishnah on Nun Hey Amud Aleph.
Mission in the middle of the big lines, Jesse. The mission in the middle of the big lines.
The second Mishnah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Rameir Oimer, right? That's right. That's what we got up to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Rameir Oimer.
What are you up to? Oh, the second mission, right? Okay.
Yes. Okay. Rameir Oimer. If you started something before the 14th, right, which we said yesterday was a machlokes, whether it's a minig not to do malacha or whether it's halacha. So then you're if you started before, then you're allowed to complete it on the 14th. But you should not start malacha. You should not start malacha before the 14th, even though you're able to finish it. Right? I mean, that's l'chayra pashut, right? Because I mean, if you're not allowed to do malacha on Erev Pesach, so why should be able to start it? Okay, but there are three types of people that can do malacha on Erev Pesach. Ad chatzos, ve'elohein hachayotin, the tailors. Saparim is the barbers, v'akoivsin, and the people that do laundry. Yes, we would offer a ton, and even the shoemakers. Yeah, 1 second. Somebody running late for Shabbos. I just have to. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So fine. So that's the Chachamim saying that there's three that are allowed to do malacha. Fine. So they asked the shayla. L'tzarich hamayid tanan avashalei l'tzarich hamayid afilu migmar namilai. So l'tzarich hamayid. It's only meaning this malacha that you're allowed to do. Is that only if you're going to need it for chalamayid? Right. Actually, not really chalamayid. I'm sorry. Mayid here means yomtiv. I'm jumping the gun. But if it's not for Yom Tif, so why should you finish it? Meaning, if it's something that you need after Pesach, so why should you have to finish it? That's option number one. There's going to be three options here. Right, so the first option is we're thinking only if it's necessary for Yom Tif can you finish it. But maybe it's shaloi l'tzarich, aval l'tzarich eschuli maskalina. You're even if it's l'tzarich, you're even allowed to start it. Or do we say no? It doesn't make a difference. It makes no difference if it's for Yom Tif, not for Yom Tif. If you started it, you can complete it. If you didn't start it, you can't complete it. So those are the three options. So Toshima, you can't even start making a small belt or even some sort of cap, right? So my afilu, what does it mean? You can't even start this. My afilu lav afilu hani l'tzarich hamayid migmar in eschulei. that even if it's l'tzarech hamayid, you can only complete it. You can't start it. Even something like that. Mechlal d'shaloi l'tzarech. But if it's not a tzarech migmar nami like amrinu, you're not even allowed to finish it off, right? And we're all being medayik from that lashon of afilu, even these small little things. So when it says lo'ilam d'shaloi l'tzarech migmar nami amrinu, really we're going to say shaloi l'tzarech. It's also you're allowed to finish it, even if it's not for Yom Tov. Umay afilu hani nami de even these things that are very small, like a belt or this cap. You would think that it takes such a short time to fix these things. You would think that starting it is considered the Gemar Malacha. So nasvul nami lechatchila. So then if that's the case, you'd be able to start it too, because it takes so quick to do this belt or this thing. When you started, you're already done. You're done even before you can before you start. So you would think that that would be considered a Gemar Kamash Malan. That's not the case. That you're still not allowed to do it. Okay, so Tashma Remeir, I'm a kol malacha shi l'tzarech hamayid. Any malacha that's l'tzarech hamayid, Goimra ba'arba asar. You're allowed to finish it on the 14th. Meaning, if it's l'tzarech Yom Tiv, then you're allowed to finish the 14th. Emasam is much hislu b'koydem arba asar. That's only if you started it before arba asar. Aval hislu b'koydem arba asar. But if you didn't start it before the 14th, lo yascha b'arba asar. Afilu tiltza katan, afilu svachah katana. Even the tiltza katan and afilu svachah katana. So Gemara says, "L'tzarech hamayid in shalei l'tzarech hamayid dai." It's only for tzarech hamayid, and not for if it's not for tzarech hamayid, then you're not allowed to finish it, right? So then that's like the first pshat that you're only allowed to finish it for a tzarech yom tiv. So the Gemara says, "No, hu adin." Really, even if it's not for Yom Tiv, you can finish it on Erev Yom Tiv. It's teaching you even l'tzarech hamayid, you're only allowed to finish it, but you're not allowed to start it. This theoretically could come up, because if you're in the middle of a project on Erev Pesach, right? And you want to get it done, or you want to, right? But it's not really tzarech Yom Tiv. If you don't get it done now, it's going to take a week and a half. It could sit around and etc., etc. But it doesn't. The Gemara is not really discussing here what happens. Is it going to get ruined, right? What happens if it's not for Yom Tov? Let's say it's going to get ruined if you don't do it, or you're going to have your Yishuv Adas. You're not going to have Yishuv Adas or something like that.
You can have a special with the accountants. It's always tax season, basically.
Right, that's true. Right, Taka. Right. So that might just be plain old davar of it, but it's not. It's interesting that the Gemara here is not discussing. It's not discussing davar of it, right? One thing is for sure, Erev Pesach is more mekel than Chol Hamoed. Certainly before Chatzos, right? That's Tali and Minig. Okay, whatever it is. Tashima. Any malachas for Yom Tif, you can finish it on the 14th. If it's not Asar, then it's Asar. And then at the end it says you can do malacha. And Erev Pesach till Chatzos in the makom that's noik. Makom shenagu in. It's only in the places that you're allowed to do malacha are you allowed to do it on Erev Pesach. But if it's not, if it's places that there's no minig, or the minig is that you don't do work, then you're not allowed to. Only but l'tzarech hamayid, and that's it. Shema mina. So that's l'maisa the maskana. Maskana is that even if you started malacha, you can only finish it if it's l'tzarech hamayid.
What's the shot the Gemara goes through all these brises if the Gemara knows a brise that teaches it explicitly?
Yeah.
I understand normally if the Gemara goes through all these different things to learn out different svaras, but here the Gemara mamash is a brise that says it explicitly at the end. That's Seif Kol Seif.
Right. No, I know.
It's one thing if it was madchit.
Yeah, I hear. What are it called? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like we have these brises, so then why don't you just go straight to the chase? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, normally the Gemara goes through a bunch of brises. They're very similar, but the point is like each one the Gemara can be matchka. So the Gemara goes through all of them to so you can learn stuff from them. Here it's mamish explicitly. He states that v'she'eno tzarech hamayid aser. So
right.
There's no way you could go be matchka.
I hear. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Weiter. I wish I had a pshat. It would be very helpful to have a pshat in this too. Yeah. Okay, but the Chum say there's 3 workers that are allowed to do it. Tana, a chayotin, so the tailors, shekain hedyet toifer gedarke b'chol shemer, because a hedyet, somebody who's not a professional is allowed to sew on cholamayid, right? Meaning you see that there's already more coolers. Right, when somebody asks if the button fell off on cholamayit, so the din is, as long as you don't sew it on professionally, then you're allowed to do it. So you have to do it a little bit of a shinu. So now you see that there's a heter. So therefore, Erev Pesach, we're also going to be matter. Hasapar ba'koivsin, laundry people, well, the other way around, haircut, barbers and laundry. Somebody who comes from overseas and somebody who comes from the jail is allowed to take a haircut and do laundry on Cholamayid. So therefore, we see that there are coolers for these things on Cholamayid. Even the leather workers, because Oile Regalim can fix their shoes on Cholamayid. Yeah. So therefore, they also have the cool. But how come the Tanakama holds that the shoemakers are not allowed to do the work on Erev Pesach, and how come the Chacham say yeah, right? So Marsov are Lamed in Tchilas Malacha Misayf Malacha. We learn out the beginning Malacha from the end of Malacha, right? So, and therefore, and once again, Marsov are Ein Lamed in Tchilas Malacha Misayf, and the other one says that you don't learn out the beginning of Malacha from the end of Malacha, right? Meaning, hold on a second. Sorry, pretty loud up here. It's pretty close to the source of yeah. But anyway, it's almost Shabbos, in case anybody didn't figure that out. Okay, so yeah, so meaning the machlokes is you're never allowed to make new shoes on Cholamayid. It's only repairing shoes. So the question is, would be because we're allowing shoe repair, do we allow making shoes in the first place on Erev Pesach? So the first Tana holds that, you can't, you do. You can learn out one from the other. And the other Tana says that it's also says you can't. Repair is not the same as making from new. Okay, fine. So that means
that Chacham would agree when it comes to repairing shoes?
It sounds like, yeah, I would think so. At least certainly if it's
so if you want to begin repairing somebody's shoes, you can?
If you want a beginning of repair, l'chayra should be okay, no? Okay. I would think so.
Meaning, would it be on the same level as anything else, like kaifsim?
If you need it.
I'm saying it should be on the same level as the other 3 because you see that it's mutter on Cholamayid.
Right. Yeah. And I would think so. Yeah. So Zok the Mishnah, Mashivin Shevachin L'Tarnagolim B'Yudalit. You're allowed to take. So Shevachin literally means a coop, chicken coop. What it means is that you're allowed to take the eggs and put it under the hens on Yudalit. Yeah. The shaila is Yudalit when? What is this Mishnah talking about? Yudalit before Chatzos or even after Chatzos? Right? Because Lamaisi, you need your eggs. And what's the malacha? What exactly is the malacha? Putting a chicken down right on top on the egg, or putting an egg under a chicken. Okay, so that's a shaila in the poskim, what this is referring to. So Mashivin Shavach and L'Tarnagolim B'Yom, you're allowed to put the eggs under the hens. Hens, right? Not rooster, hens. I can never get this straight. Yes, the hens. Okay, but there's a what do you call it, right? Isn't there a kid's rhyme about it? Isn't it the smother? Yeah, okay. I have to try and remember.
There probably is.
Yes, okay. So Mashivin Shabach and L'Tarnagolim B'Yudalit, the Tarnagoyla Shabarcha, and let's say it was already on the egg and it ran away. Machzir and Oisa L'Mekomi, you're allowed to put it back down on top of the egg. Vim Mesa, and let's say that one that's the hen that's sitting down on top of the egg dies. Mashivin Acheres Tachtel, you can put another hen there instead. Fine. That's one subject mission. Next subject is Garfin Mitachas Ragli Behem B'Yomtiv. And you're allowed to scoop out the junk from under the feet of the Behem on Yomtiv. Ubemayid and Masalkin Litzdadin. And on Cholamayid, you're allowed to push it off to the sides. Yeah, meaning Cholamayid is more Chomer, right? Meaning on your Dalid, you're allowed to actually go under the animal's feet and take it away. On the Cholamayid, you're not allowed to scrape it, you just push it off to the side. So again, you see that Cholamayid is more chomer than Erev Pesach. Ma'alichin Kalim Havavim Bebeis Uman, you're allowed to bring Kalim and pick them up from the repair guy. I don't know if he's a repair or anything. Even if it's not L'tzarech Hamayid. So we have to see in the Gemara exactly what's mutter, because that's a very common question. People are going to the cleaners on Chol Hamayid to pick up stuff, which obviously was cleaned before Chol Hamayid, hopefully, right? And when you want to pick the stuff up, and even if it's not for Chol Hamayid, you want to pick up stuff for post Chol Hamayid. Okay, so Gemara says Hashta Suvim Masvinon Durim Bibai. It says that you're allowed to put the hen down on top of the eggs, and then it says, and if it goes away, runs away, you're allowed to put it back. Well, of course, if you're allowed to put it there in the first place, and of course, if it runs away, you're allowed to put it back. You need to be able to put it back. So Amar Abaya, do I need to tell you that? Amar Abaya, Seif and Asal l'Cholamayid. No, the Seif is referring to Cholamayid. The Reish is talking about Erev Pesach. The Seif is talking about Cholamayid. So Amar Avuna Loishano Elatay Shloisha Lamarda. This is only talking about, now we get into science here. It's only going to work if it's within 3 days of the hen running away. Because if it's within 3 days, she's still going to have that desire to sit on the egg. And then the second requirement is that it has to be after she's already been on there for 3 days. So basically, 3 is the number here. The first requirement is that it has to have not been off the egg for 3 days, and it had to have sat already on the egg for 3 days. But if not, then the pastul labay, because then it's going to lose the egg. Lagamri, I'm sorry. It's going to be pastul labay lagamri. He's going to lose the egg lagamri. But if it's more than 3 days after it left the egg, and within 3 days of you putting it on the egg, that it still has not, it's not completely ruined, then you're not allowed to put the hen back on. Right? Meaning, what's a pshat? You're going to lose. You can use the egg to eat. That's a pshat. It's not at the point of no return. One of the most complicated sugyas in Basa B'chalav, I don't know, it's pretty complicated, is at what point does an egg go from being fleishiks to being parav, right? Eggs are parav. A lot of times we don't think about it. One second, an egg is parav. So then what point does it become parav? Because Kozman that it's within, right? If it's within the animal, it's intertwined in the animal, it's fleishiks. So there's different stages where that egg, so it's the same shaila here. So at some point, once the hen starts sitting on there, so for more than 3 days, it's a davara of it, because now you can't use it as an egg, and you're going to lose it, and you're going to lose it as a chick too. All right, so less than 3 days, we could say, just use the egg to eat. Now, then
you're saying at that point it becomes fleishing again?
I'm not saying that. I was hoping that. I know it's what it sounded like. I'm not saying that I have no idea. I'm not. It sounded. No, I'm just saying it's the meaning that there's different levels of when the egg goes from one status to the other. So that's all.
So is milk fleishing?
Oh, excellent question, Harold. Right. So why is milk not fleishing? Right. So milk. That's also a complicated sugi in Basa B'chalav. Which milk? Sometimes the milk that's it's in the udder. Right, so is that considered, the basic reason why milk is not fleishing is because it's considered a separate entity from the animal. Once it detaches from the animal, the egg, the same thing, and the milk also. Once they detach, they become parav. Mother's milk also, by the way, is parav. Yeah, you believe it or not, I get this question fairly often. I don't know what it's negay, and I don't ask what it's negay, but people ask. Usually because washing it in the sink. But yes, once it becomes detached from the animal, then it's parav. Yeah.
So is there any tzad over here with the chicken? Because the mandamar, I believe that the chicken it shouldn't be fleishik. It should actually be parav itself.
What do you mean?
Meaning, is it straight up that the chicken is fleishik across the board?
Yes. I mean, it's
what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Right. Well, it's a gzeira for meat. But really, it's a derabana.
Right.
According to the Shainim, no?
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Right. So, anyways, the point is that
Harold, you were trying to get a real cheeseburger out of this. I know.
Why not?
yeah.
I don't blame you.
You could do it. Theoretically, you could do it if you get it in the right. If you get the milk amongst the udder and you get it in the right spot, theoretically you could do it. There are officially, I think in Eretz Yisrael, I heard that there are people that know how exactly. Ich weiß, I don't know. Tread lightly if somebody tells you, if somebody offers it to you. We'll leave it like that, right? Especially if it says like for new Hechsher in town has. Okay, we haven't discussed that in a little bit of time. Okay. Okay, so but the point is that we're trying to take care of losses here. So if the hen was on there for more than 3 days and you don't put it back, so then the egg's going to be lost for humans and it's going to also be lost for making more chicks. Even if it's within 3 days, you could still put it back, right? Even though it's still, you can use the egg to eat. One is chayshit for a large loss, right? And lefs and muad loy we don't particularly care about that. So if it's less than 3 days, so what are you going to lose? You're going to lose one egg. That's not such a big loss. Umar sav lefs and muad nami chashu. No, we're also chayshit for a hefs and muad, and therefore you have to be concerned. Okay, garfen mitachas. You're allowed to scoop out the dirt from other animals. Tanaban hazevel shabachatzer. The dirt, the junk, the feces, I guess that's in the chatzar. You're allowed to move it off to the side. But what that's in the corral. So if it's in the yard, you can remove it. What's in the corral and it's a chatzar, but for that you're allowed to even take it out to the garbage. So this is a steer to itself. And the stuff that's in the yard, the junk that's in the yard, you're allowed to move it to the sides. You're even allowed to take it out to the garbage. So which one is it? Meaning, what is zevel, right? What is this stuff? Is it muksa? Is it not muksa? Are you allowed to move? You're not allowed to move. Why should be a difference between a yard and what's in the corral? Like we said before, the difference is on Erev Pesach and one is on Cholamayid. Right, Cholamayid, right? We're much stricter with it. So Cholamayid, you're only allowed to push it to the side. Erev Pesach, you are allowed to. Rav Amar, Hava, B'chayil Shema. No, they're both talking about Cholamayid. Vachi Kamer, Im Nasa Chotzer, Kerefes, Matzia Noisei Lash. But if your yard becomes like a refes, like a stable, then you take it out to the ashram. Meaning, if there's so much dung in your yard that it's not controllable, so then you're allowed to push it out. Fine.
People now get upset if their wife asks him to change the baby instead of her on Yontif. You don't want to change the baby. He's in the middle of learning. His Zayda was moving zevel of cows the whole Yontif afternoon.
Right.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yerida Ladoros.
Totally different Yontif.
Correct, right, 100%.
The same thing. The same thing. The guys today complain that it's not in Refesh Shebechotzer yet. They can't change the diaper.
That's what I say.
Yeah. Okay, so Malichan Kalim and Vian Beveso, when you're allowed to bring Kalim and you're allowed to pick them up from the repair guy. Amar Papa Badiklan Rava. Rava gave us a test, a badika. He checked us, meaning he was giving him a test. Tanam, we learned in the mission of Malichan and Vian Kalim and Beisa Uman. You're allowed to bring and pick up kalim from the Beis Uman, even though it's not L'tzarech HaMayir. We're a minute, I'll ask you, Stira, Ein Bevi'in Kalim Beis Uman. You're not allowed to bring kalim from the Beis Uman. But if you're afraid they're going to get stolen, right? You're allowed to even move it to a different chatzar. So what do you see? That some places you are, some places it's a stira. One says you are, and one says you're not. So Shanina, and we answered, right? That was Rava's kasha. One place it says you are allowed to pick up the stuff, and one place it says you're not allowed to. That was the kasha. Mashnina loy kasha kan barba also kan b'chol shemayid. The same yisod that we've been saying. Cholamayid is more strict. Erev Pesach is not as strict. V'ba you say mahava b'chol shemayid, but loy kasha kan b'mamino kan b'shein mamino. One is talking about you believe him. So if you believe him and you trust the worker that he's not going to take your stuff, so then it's allowed. If you don't believe him, then you are allowed to pick it up. But what I mean, it says in the price that you're allowed to bring kalim from a base of uman. Could go in hakad, be base hakad, or you could pick up a jug from the utensil guy, and the cup from the a glass cup from the glazier. But you're not allowed to pick up wool from the dyeing place, but like kalim and not kalim from a besa uman. Yeah, and Rashi says that because they're not for Yom Tov. But if the worker doesn't have what to eat, then pay him. Meaning he did the work. You're not picking it up because you're not allowed to. But if he needs the money, so pay him. Or leave it by him. And if you don't trust him, then take him out of the worker's house and put him into the house next door. And if you chayshish, baby, it'll get stolen. Then you can bring them quietly into his own house. So the Gemara says, "Taratzta meviin." That all answers up scenarios where you're allowed to pick up the utensils and bring them home. Ma'lichin kasha. What about bringing them? What would be the heter? What's the tzad to bring them? The Ketani ein meviin, b'kol shekein dein ma'lichin, because it says ein meviin a kol shekein dein ma'lichin. Ela machvarta kedushin meikar. We go with the original answer, which is that the difference is between Chol HaMoed and Erev Pesach. On Chol HaMoed, we're going to be stricter. On Erev Pesach, you're allowed to. Okay. Have a good Shabbos, everybody.
What time is Shir Motzi?
Oh, I don't know. What does Olam want? I guess 8:10, 8:15. That's what we're doing. Yeah, 8:15.
All right,
8:10.
great.
8:15.
Have a great Shabbos, everybody.
Can I park, Rabbi? Can I park by you?
What about Darky's dinner?
Rabbi?
Have a good Shabbos.
I'm sure it'll be
dinner's
recorded.
8:30.
Sure it'll be recorded.
Rabbi, can I park? Rabbi, can I park by you?
What?
Can I park by you?
I don't know. If there's a spot in my driveway, you can park by me. If there's no spots, then you can't park by me.
Anyone there? Anyone else there?
But do I? What do I? How should I know?
Okay.
I'm sure there's a spot for you. I'm sure.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye-bye.